Hi, I'm Tim Van Milligan from Apogee Components. I'd like to talk to you about cutting balsa wood fins. This is a skill that everybody needs when you're designing your own rockets. Today I'm going to show you how I would cut fins if I was building a sky torpedo from scratch. The first thing you want to do is select your balsa wood. Now, there's different kinds of balsa wood, so when you go to the store, this is kind of what you want to look for. You'll look at the wood and you'll look at the wood grain, which are these like stripes inside the wood. That's the grain. You'll notice that the dark lines are rather long. This is a very flexible wood. It's okay for fins, but what I prefer is wood that looks more like this. See, now here the lines aren't as dark, and if you kind of look at it, you'll see kind of a fish scale pattern in here. Now this wood is much stiffer, and this makes better fins. If you can't find that, if you find this in a hobby store when you're going through the wood, buy it. This is the best kind of wood that people crave because it is strong. But if you can't get that, kind of look for a medium, kind of the middle of the road between the really long and the really short, and that's this right here. And the direction of the wood grain like this is how they cut the log, where this one would be parallel to a side. This is more cross grain, and then this would be somewhere in between. So that's how you select your wood. That's kind of the first step. You want to get good wood because it gives you a better fin. This stuff here, the really nice stuff that I was talking about, this is a little harder to cut, but it makes a better fin, and it's a little harder to sand too. So when you go to sand your airfoils, it's going to be a little harder. What most people do is they'll start with a fin pattern like this, and they'll lay it on the wood and just start cutting it out. Well, that's the wrong thing to do. Because you want to orient the wood grain to make the fin as strong as possible. So now this right here is the shape of the rocket. Let me see if you can see that here. So this right here is the root edge. This is the tip edge because it's on the tip. This is the leading edge because it leads, the direction that the rocket's going. And then this down here would be the trailing edge. You want to orient the wood grain, which are these stripes in the wood, to go towards the rocket, because if they're parallel to the rocket, it's going to snap, and these are called snap fins, and you don't want that. So you want the wood grain to go into the direction of the wood, towards the body tube like this. So when you lay it on your wood, you can either have it go straight in like this, and you'll notice on this particular fin that would be parallel to the trailing edge, or you could have it going parallel with the leading edge, which would be like that. I typically orient mine parallel to the leading edge, but you can orient them parallel to the trailing edge, or if it's a straight, like square or rectangular fin, just straight in. So now on this grain, if I orient it to the leading edge, I want to turn the wood like this. See, now usually the wood grain follows the edge of the wood. So there's the direction I want it to go. So that would be good. And so then I could lay it down and start cutting it out. Now some people will go and trace the outside of the wood like this. See, the problem is you can see that my line is not going to be straight. When I get to the corners, you see that it's coming away from it's going into my pattern. So I don't get a very good pattern by doing it this way. You can do it that way, but see, now it's kind of rough around the edges. And when you cut it out, it'll be a little bit better. But what I prefer to do is to actually glue the pattern to the wood. Now when I say glue, I don't mean permanently. I want to use a glue that's removable, like 3M spray mount, or you could use rubber cement. And what you do is you spray the back of the paper with this, and then you can just stick it to the wood, and then you can peel it up later, kind of like a sticker. It doesn't stick permanently. It's a low-tack glue. When you do that, do it outdoors. Don't spray it on your table because it's hard to get off. You need to get some rubber cement thinner to get it off, but that's a solvent, and you don't want to be breathing solvents. So make sure you do this outdoor. Treat it kind of like spray paint. Just do it outdoors. What I like to do is, spray the backside. Now this one I've actually sprayed, and it's a little tacky. You can see it's sticking to my finger, but it peels right off. And I leave the paper, I don't trim it all the way to the edges that I'm going to cut. Let me flip this over and I'll do it this way. So again, I want to orient the leading edge with the grain of the wood. So this time I'm going to turn it this way, like that. And if you hold it up to the light, if you hold it up to your lights, you can see through it, and you can see where that the line is compared, the back edge of the wood. So go ahead and do that, and then you can lay it down and you can start cutting it out. Before I show you how to start cutting it out, let me tell you to think ahead a little bit. So if you're doing your wood like this, you could take your next fin and lay it this way on the fin. Try to use as little wood as possible so you can save the rest of your sheet for another rocket. That's what I like to do. I like to try to think ahead how I'm going to position these on the paper. And if you're really smart, you'll lay it up on a piece of paper first and then cut it out and bond it to the wood like I did here. So here I have my thickness of wood, which in this case is 3 inches, and that's the width of the wood. And I planned on it being 9 inches long, and then I just laid the fins out and oriented them all so that they go with the grain of the wood. And then I can spray the back of this and then just bond that to the paper. And that's what I did here on this sheet. And I've actually sprayed the back side of this one here. So this one's ready to go, and I can actually peel this one off. So you can peel it off. Doesn't leave any residue on your wood. And then I can bond this one to the paper. Just like that. And just flatten it out. Make sure it's all bonded pretty good. Now we're ready to start cutting out. And when you're going to cut out, remember to wear your safety glasses because you're going to be using a hobby knife. You never know when that tip is going to break and come bouncing off and into your eye. So that's what the safety glasses are for. And I always use a metal ruler with a nice metal edge because this way I know it's nice and straight. When I lay it on the wood, notice that I lay it on top of the actual fin. This way, if my knife strays away, it doesn't gouge into the fin like that. So I'm going to lay it on the wood, and you notice I got this edge here is parallel to this one. It's actually in the same line. So I could actually make one cut and cut out 2 fins at once. So the way I do this is I'll take my hand, I'll lay it on top of the ruler. So I'm holding everything nice and flat and it's not spinning around on me. And then I'm going to take my knife blade and I'm just going to come right down the wood like that, and I'm going to go past the edge of the fin right here. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do several light passes. And when you're going with the wood, it goes pretty easy. Now you can see I've actually cut through, which is good. Now what I like to do is I like to cut this fin here instead of this fin here. And the reason is when I make this cut here, all this piece of wood can be removed from the table, and it makes it easier to spin things around because this edge of the wood is not hitting anything. So again, I lay the ruler on top of the wood, on top of the fin, so that if the knife blade comes away, it doesn't gouge into my fin. And I'm starting at the edge of the wood and going all the way across. Okay, and see how nice that trimmed away. And this piece came off too. So now I'm left with this, and I'm going to cut this edge. Always going past, starting away from the fin and going past the edge right here. Keep that blade up against the wood, or up against the edge of the ruler. So now on this one, this next cut, I'm going to separate two fins, and I'm going to get two edges with one cut. And that's kind of like why I like to butt them together, so I have less cutting involved. Now this one is very critical because now the blade can actually go into the wood if it starts straying away. So I'm going to do a little bit slower on this cut and a few more passes, because I don't want it to go into that piece right there. So now this fin is done. So now I'll do this cut right here. So what I like to do is I like to angle it at an angle to the cut, and kind of put my knife down and pivot the ruler around there. That way I know that this edge here is lined up. This time we went all the way across, separated the two pieces of wood, and this piece right here, just that little edge. Now I'll cut this final one, and this one will be done. Okay, and then this is the final one, this final edge. And you can see how fast or how quick it goes to cut fins. It doesn't take very long at all. Okay, so then my fins are done, and I'll just find the little edge, just peel it off. I can discard that, and then my fins are now cut, and I'm ready to airfoil them and then to bond them to the side of the rocket. So that's cutting fins, and I'm Tim Van Milligan, and this is the Apogee Rocketry Workshop. Visit our website at www.apogeerockets.com.